Today we have another jacket battle showdown, this time between the Arcteryx Proton LT versus the North Face Summit Ventrix. That's next. Welcome to Backcountry Renegade. I'm Jeff. Today we are looking at two jackets that are very popular for active wear. They're great for being out in the mountains, climbing, backpacking, being in the snow, being anything where you're doing a lot of effort, but you need to keep warm, but also release the hot air. So there's a lot of pros and cons between these two as well. So let's look at that in more detail now. The North Face Ventrix Summit L3 2.0 is a pretty popular jacket that features the new Ventrix technology, which is North Face's latest technology that is being touted as being the perfect solution for mountain environments. It's a breathable insulation that can release body heat while you are on the move, while also retaining warmth when you're not moving. It is a super comfortable, stretchy, and stylish. It can be used as a standalone jacket in cool conditions or in cold conditions as a layer. The L3 in the name means that it is the third layer that typically goes on if you're looking for mountaineering outfits. It can be used for all sorts of conditions: skiing, snowboarding, climbing, any kind of environment you might see in the mountains. This can be used for any sorts of activity for that. This has been around for about 5 years. It's gone through a few revisions over the years. This one here is particularly the 2017 collector's edition, so it has a few extra things like the patches and this color variation here. It comes in multiple sizes and colors. It sells new for $280. The Proton is a newer addition to the growing line of jackets from Arcteryx, and it features a newer technology in their active layer department. It provides a great amount of warmth, but also great amount of durability and breathability. It is a great jacket that really weds those two, which is great for the backcountry. It's an excellent option if you're more of a climber or a mountaineer because you have a durable outlayer, but also it's extra breathable. It can be used as a mid-layer or a standalone jacket for alpine activities. It is considered an all-round type jacket. It retails for $299 and is a pretty nice jacket that is widely available, comes in various sizes and colors, and you can get it in a hoodless version or the hooded version that you see here. The LT in the name stands for lightweight. So looking at these, we do have a few similarities. First off, both these jackets are made to either be a standalone jacket or you can wear it as being a mid-layer in cold conditions. Both these jackets are lightweight. They're both made of synthetic insulation, and both these jackets are highly breathable, but in their own right. They're able to let hot air come out when you're active, but each does so in its own unique way. They each have elastic cuffs, two front pockets, a hood, and both have water repellent technologies to keep you warm even when wet. Let's take a look at some of the differences, starting with the shell fabric. The Ventrix here features 20 denier by 30 denier ripstop nylon. It's 92% ripstop nylon, but also 8% elastane. And you can see that because this is an overall pretty stretchy jacket. It does have pretty decent durability, and the 30 denier is in the areas that you really would need it, kind of like in the arms and elbows and shoulders and stuff. So it has good weather resistance and also good stretch. Looking at the Proton outer fabric features an Arcteryx Fortis Air 40 fabric. So it's extra air permeable, able to prevent you from overheating, but it's also extra durable at that 40 denier to keep you wind resistant and to keep any abrasions from happening. The fabric is also coated with a DWR finish to keep rain from really penetrating through. It's lightweight and it's durable. It has great abrasion resistance, yet it is pretty soft. It is 92% nylon and also 8% elastane, so it does also provide some stretch in the material there. And so This is a pretty awesome jacket if you're into mountaineering and you anticipate climbing through areas where you might scrape on rocks or branches. This shell is pretty durable for that, yet very breathable. Let's talk about the insulation. The Ventrix here features 60 grams Ventrix. It's 100% polyester stretch synthetic insulation, the Ventrix technology there. And because even the insulation is stretchy, the whole jacket tends to be stretchy along with the outer layer as well. This insulation here that's called Ventrix is a layer that has perforations on the inside. And when you're not moving, the perforations remain closed, and so you can stay warm and it traps in the warm air. But when you're on the move, those perforations expand and release the hot air, which promotes airflow throughout the jacket. So we'll talk a bit more about this in the breathability section. Let's consider the Proton. This has 80 grams of Korolev Compact. And Korolev Compact is a nice insulation that it provides the warmth, but it's compact to where it's not super bulky or anything. In the body, you have Korolev Compact 80, which is also 100% polyester, but in the hood, you have Korolev Compact 60, so a little bit less in the hood, but more in the body for when you would need it. Let's talk about the liner inside of the jacket. So for the Ventrix, it's 20 denier nylon with elastane mix. It has a really soft feel against your skin. It also doesn't feel too clampy or slippery as you're wearing it and you're getting hot. Now the Proton, on the other hand, has an interior liner fabric that is made of dope Premier. It's an air permeable liner that in conjunction with the insulation makes it super breathable to really regulate a comfortable microclimate inside your jacket. The Proton LT has that dope dyed 20 denier liner on the inside, which is dope dyed is just a more environmentally friendly process to dye the jacket that doesn't involve much water or chemicals in the dyeing process. Let's talk about the weight. The Ventrix here weighs 430 grams or 15.16 ounces. And that's going to come because we have extra features that we'll go over in a little bit. Where the Proton, on the other hand, weighs 375 grams or 13.2 ounces. So in the weight category, the Proton is definitely going to be your lighter jacket and something to consider. Let's talk about the breathability. So a little bit more about the Ventrix technology. The Ventrix insulation, as we said, has holes that are cut into the insulation here. And as you're on the move, it allows hot air to escape through those holes because as they're stretched, you become more active and that's when it releases. But when you're not active, those holes are regulated to your movement. So when you're not moving as much, the holes will close, therefore trapping in the warm air when you're not moving. And so it provides some warmth as well. And so this is a really cool feature. It's a real cool technology that North Face has come up with, where the breathability is triggered by your movement. The more you move, the more breathable it is. The less you move, the more it's going to trap in warm air. So it's a great option here if you're looking for an all-round jacket for mountain environments. The Proton, on the other hand, is breathable throughout. It's breathable through the shell, breathable through the insulation, but it also has that air permeable shell that we talked about where it allows it to breathe, but also block from the heavy winds, cold winds, and also block a lot of the elements from getting into your jacket. So pretty neat feature when you consider these two. As far as which one is going to be warmer, considering the Ventrix, it depends on what you're doing. If you're on the move, if you're constantly active, both these jackets are going to be very similar in warmth because they're breathable as you're moving. Now, from my experience, the Proton becomes a little bit more breathable because it's breathable throughout rather than just limited through those holes. Now, when it comes down to you're actually standing still, maybe you're at a campsite, you're not moving anymore, then the Ventrix is going to be the warmer jacket because now those holes are closed and it's not going to be as breathable, where the Proton will still remain breathable. So if you're looking for more of a jacket for your high output activities, in my experience, the Proton is the more breathable jacket in that category. Both are similar as far as being an active layer for that, but in their own right. But if you're looking for something to sit down at a campsite as well, in my experience, the Ventrix will be a little bit more warmer because those holes are then closed. Now you can still retain the warmth of the jacket of the Proton if you put on like a little shell as well over this. So it's just an option that you do have. Let's talk about the zippers. So the zipper on the Ventrix is your typical zipper. It zips up, zips up, zips down as well. When you put tension, it's going to stay locked in place. It's not a free-flowing zipper or anything, but that's something just to keep in mind. So you want to try and avoid getting in situations that provide a lot of tension that could break this zipper. Now the Proton, because it's more geared towards the specialty of mountaineering and everything, they have a zipper that is free flowing, which means as your jacket is zipped up, you go down here, you actually have what we would have little speed bumps, or the Arcteryx calls it the no slip zip. And so from here on down, if you zip down this zipper, you actually have speed bumps where it stops. But once you get to the sternum, if you have pressure that extends on the jacket, it's just going to free flow and open. And this is as a result to go ahead and allow it to break open or flow open when you experience tension, so you don't break the zipper. Where on the Ventrix, if you got a lot of tension, the zipper could possibly break. So this is actually a safety feature that Arcteryx has thought of in certain situations, like when you're rappelling, things like that, where you might experience that tension. So they built that in so you don't damage the jacket. So it's a pretty neat thing that they put in. Also, on both these jackets, you have these little air flaps here behind the zipper to prevent air from coming in, and it does both do a good job of that, so it prevents the cold air from coming through the zipper. Let's talk about the chest pockets. Now the Ventrix here has two front chest pockets. Now this is a nice feature if you want something for extra storage, put maps, compass, keys, anything like that, you can put that there in the front. Now, this does come at a cost of weight. When you have more pockets, you have more zippers, which add to the weight, which we do see with the Ventrix being a heavier jacket. Now, the Proton, on the other hand, only has one front pocket here, and it's a nice feature as well. It's a little bit more durable fabric here, as we see, and you can put also maps, keys, things like that. But they only have one zipper, and that's as a result to kind of still provide some storage options, but also be lightweight. Both these jackets have front side pockets here, and they work relatively well with either a hip belt or a harness. And how they work is a Proton actually has the pockets raised slightly higher than normal. That way they don't get interfered by a hip belt or harness. But the Ventrix, what they do is they actually just have bigger pockets. So they're a whole lot bigger, so when they do get interfered by the bottom section there with a harness, you can still put your hands in your pockets to keep them warm. Functionality, I actually prefer the Proton here because they are using less materials, which means less weight. Let's talk about the cuffs. Both these jackets have elastic cuffs. So they do a good job of being able to go over your glove and go tight and hold it to where cold air doesn't go in. But it also has enough elastic to be pretty supportive, where you can roll it up your sleeve, or you can just have it go over a bigger glove. If you look at the Ventrix here, there's a little less elastic here, not as thick compared to the Proton here, where you have a little bit more. The Proton, they actually call it a four-way stretch because of the extra elastic that it does have in here as well. Let's talk about the hood. Both these jackets have pretty comparable hoods, and they both have insulation in the jackets as well. They both have this extra elastic around the jacket to really go around your head pretty nicely. Both these hoods are also helmet compatible, so they can go over a helmet. And if you're not wearing a helmet and you need to cinch it down, both these hoods actually have some cinch cords in the back to where you can do that. In my experience, the hoods, if I were to give a preference, they're both very good and very functional. But if I were to pick a preference between the hoods, I kind of like the Ventrix and how it feels. It just goes with your head a little bit more when you're wearing a helmet as you turn your head. Where this one seems to, as you turn your head can kind of rotate in it while the hood remains still. So just one little feature that I did feel in there. Now let's talk about the fit. If I was comparing both these jackets, I would say the Ventrix has a good relaxed fit. It's not too bulky, but it's also not trim. Where the Proton, on the other hand, Arcteryx, if you're familiar with Arcteryx and their fit, it's not for everybody, but if you're athletic, if you're trim, this is an amazing fit. So it reduces the needlessness of extra material for bulk. It has a great fit for me, so I really like the articulation that I'm able to maintain, but also have a really good fit of the jacket. They also have what they call guested elbows, which is a little bit longer in the elbow length here for the sleeves, so it allows you to reach up, grab holds, and your sleeves aren't rolling up as you reach up as well. The Proton for me is one of the best fits of a jacket I have had. I like the trimness, but I also like the freedom of movement that it allows. It also allows you to have a layer or two underneath as well. So pretty cool. If you're real into climbing, mountaineering, you're gonna really like the fit of the Proton. Let's talk about the comfort. The Ventrix here is a very comfortable jacket. The extra stretch allows you to move unhindered. It's great for climbing and moving and different things like that. However, from my experience, it seems to be a little extra stretchy or too stretchy. And that's just something to keep in mind. Also the patches and things like that tend to kind of weigh you down a little bit as you're going. Just things that you can look at and see, how can I reduce the weight? If you're into also ultralight backpacking, you can look at some of these things and extra logos and stuff as something that may be a little unnecessary when it comes to weight. The Proton, on the other hand, has great comfort. It's also stretchy, and I think just sufficiently stretchy. It allows for natural movement. It just feels more natural and regular, in my opinion, when it comes to the comfort there. Let's talk about the cinch cords. Now, if you look at the bottom of the Ventrix here, it has one hem cinch cord here to really go ahead and tighten around your waist to allow no cold air to go up. And so it does a good job of that. Where you look at the Proton here, and the Proton actually has two here. So you have two cinch cords to pull it through and also close it. Personally, they both seem to function about the same for me. So, I haven't noticed too much of a difference between one and two. If, the only thing is when you're pulling the one, it can get really long, where the two, you don't have to pull, you don't have to have as long of cords remaining if you do tighten it up. Some additional features that we will talk about, you can see how many logos the North Face one has, and these are, thick logos and patches and stuff. They even have a few here on the back of the shoulder and a pretty big one here. And so those are cool. They look pretty neat, but they do add to the weight. As far as the Arcteryx, they do have one logo right here that's lightly printed on. I would have loved to see that actually embroidered, but it still functions nonetheless just fine. Another thing is the seams. The Ventrix is pretty neat because it has no seams in the shoulders here, and they really designed the jacket for that. So if you're wearing a backpack with the shoulder straps over it, the seams aren't getting in the way. Instead, they put it in the middle of your back here. And so that's kind of why you see this design, because the seams aren't getting in the way and providing a little extra uncomfortableness from wearing a backpack. Where you compare that to the Proton here, the Proton does have a seam right here in the back, but I haven't noticed any issue as far as wearing a backpack. So I haven't been able to see anything that really makes it uncomfortable when I'm wearing a backpack. So both these are pretty good. I think they do a great job. Let's talk about compression. So if you're looking at these two jackets and trying to find which one is the most compressible, you might have a hard time trying to figure that out. They both are synthetic insulation. They're not made of down or anything, and so they're gonna be a little bit hard to compress. As far as my experience with these two, they're both very similar. I do feel that the Ventrix is a slightly more bulky, just because you have a little bit extra material and zippers and all that. Where the Proton, on the other hand, because it has the Corloft compact insulation, it is a little bit more compact. So not a huge thing. They're both not known for their compressibility, but Proton, in my experience, seems to compress a little bit further down than the Ventrix. So as you can see, both these jackets are really great. I do use both of these quite a bit. I've used the Ventrix for 3-4 years. I've used the Proton for at least a year and a half. And they're both really good jackets. I really like the fit of the Proton, the guested elbow design, the stretchiness of the fabric, the freedom of movement. It allows me to move in a jacket just naturally, unhindered. If you're into climbing, it's a climber's dream, but you can't go wrong with either of these jackets. As far as style, I think probably they're both pretty stylish, but the Proton just feels a little bit more natural, a little more neutral than you know, having this big black and then red kind of patterns here. The one downside about having it all like this is, as you can see, I have a little bit of stains here and there that kind of show up, and that's going to happen as you wear a jacket, especially a brighter colored jacket. And with the North Face, I have a few of those as well, but because you also have the black here, it does kind of cover that up. All right, so concluding thoughts. Who won the jacket battle for me? Was it the North Face Summit Ventrix or the Arcteryx Proton LT? You know, both these jackets I really like, but if I was having to choose one, I would go with the Arcteryx Proton LT. And really the pros just outweigh the cons when you compare these two. So let's consider a few. Now, the first pro about the Arcteryx Proton LT has to be the breathability. This is by far more breathable than the North Face Summit Ventrix. And the reason is because you have an air permeable shell here that is also really durable and can still block wind to an extent, but it's very breathable. Plus the insulation is breathable all around. Where the Summit Ventrix, you have to be moving really to get that breathability going. And so let's say you're hiking up a mountain and then you want to stop for a little bit. You're not going to get much breathability if you're not moving. And for me, that's when I have to release the air. Otherwise, with the Ventrix, I would have to open it up and catch my breath and let the air out, where that one I can catch my breath, stop, but I don't have to open up my jacket and get extra cold as a result. So the breathability and functionality in that regard for the Proton LT is an advantage for me. So another pro about the Proton LT has to be the fit. The fit I really love for Arcteryx. It just fits me really well. They have a nice athletic trim fit, and it's a little bit relaxed where you can also wear another layer. You can reach for holds, you can move. It's also a little bit stretchy, so it's not going to restrict your movement in any way. Now the Ventrix is also stretchy. It's a little bit maybe too stretchy because you have to stretch it to release those holes, and it kind of feels a little rubbery at some areas like that. But it is a nice jacket regardless, but the North Face tends to run a little bit big. Now granted, I did have a medium here and I do have a small in the Proton LT. I wasn't able to get my hands on a small for North Face, but I have a lot of North Face gear, and overall their smalls are just a tad bigger than the Arcteryx when it comes to being trim and stuff and fitting. So it's a little bit looser, something just to keep in mind. But for me, the Arcteryx fit just wins hands down. Another pro for me for the Arcteryx Proton LT has to be the durability. The outer durability of the shell is an extra durability, so you can use it for mountaineering, you can use it for also climbing and things like that, and it's meant to be a little bit more abrasion resistance, where the Summit Ventrix, the material on the outside tends to be a little bit lighter, and so I worry about the durability about as far as pilling and things like that, where the Proton LT seems, from my experience at least, to be the more durable of the two. Another pro about the Proton LT has to be the style. I think it's the more stylish of the two jackets. Now granted, the North Face Ventrix does have that kind of 90s retro look, and they have lots of different other Ventrix, but as far as the Summit Ventrix is concerned, the style hands down wins for the Proton. I think this is something you can wear out in the backcountry, out in the mountains, but also wear in town, and it looks like a great jacket all around. So for style, I definitely like the Proton LT. Another thing that the Proton LT wins is in the weight category. It's a little bit lighter than the Summit Ventrix. The Summit Ventrix, you have those patches. Now granted, I have the anniversary edition, which has that patches, which does add to weight. It has extra pockets, which have extra zippers. And so while it has great functionality for pockets and things like that, it is a heavier of the jacket. And so when you're backpacking or you're taking it in a pack for climbing or anything, the weight matters. And so for me, the Proton LT wins because of the weight category as well. Another pro about the Proton LT compared to the Summit Ventrix has to do with the availability. The Proton LT is a lot more available. It's in stock and all that. When you go to the North Face, now granted I got that in 2017, when you go to northface.com and you look for the Summit Ventrix, they're going with different models, and some of them aren't as available, some of them are sold out. And so you have a lot better chance of getting the Proton LT than the Summit Ventrix right now. Now that might change in the future, but as of the filming of this video, that is the case. Also, if you're looking for the special anniversary edition, like I have in the Summit Ventrix, you're not going to find it. You're not going to find it anymore because they don't make it anymore, but something just to keep in mind. Now let's talk about the cons. One con for me for the Proton LT, I think compared to the Summit Ventrix, is the hood. I tend to like the Summit Ventrix hood a little bit better. It fits a little bit better. It's not too bulky and it's not too narrow or restricting, but the hood for the Proton LT is a little bit baggy. You do have to kind of use this. Now both these hoods are meant to go over a helmet as well, and even so, it just feels like my head moves a little bit better when I use the Summit Ventrix compared to the Proton LT. It feels like as I move my head, kind of the hood stays in place and doesn't go with me, where it's the opposite with the Summit Ventrix. So Summit Ventrix does, in my opinion, have the better hood. Another con about the Proton LT is when it comes to trying to stay warm. Now this is a very breathable jacket, and so if you're trying to stay warm by standing still, this may not be the best jacket, or you have to put a shell over it. Now this does have a nice shell that's durable and it can deflect wind to an extent. However, it's going to be more breathable. Now for the Ventrix, you have to really move to get the breathability functioning. So if you're standing in one place, you're not going to release the heat because it's not as breathable because those holes are closed. So just something to keep in mind if you're looking for something for the camp. You probably need to get a shell over this if you're just sitting still, but when you're on the move, this is by far the best functionality jacket that I have tried that's breathable and will keep you warm. Another con about the Proton LT compared to the Ventrix is it's going to be about $50 more expensive than the Summit Ventrix. So something to consider if you are able to find the Ventrix at all even. Another con about the Proton LT is it seems to be the pricier of the two options. From my research, it was about a $50 difference, but every now and then you can find either of these jackets on sale. So make sure to do your research on that. So who won the jacket battle for you? Was it the North Face Summit Ventrix or the Arcteryx Proton LT? Which one would you go with and why? Leave me a comment in the comments section. If you like what you saw, also make sure to give me a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe for more jacket content like this. And if you want to see maybe certain jackets, let me know in the comments and I'll try to make that happen. But as always, thanks for watching.